2, 1, action. Let's talk about Game of Thrones. If you appreciate human decency, sexual modesty, or a general sense of fair play, the Game of Thrones might sound like something out of your worst nightmares. Millions would disagree though. Game of Thrones is HBO's most popular TV series of all time, being shown in 170 countries and illegally downloaded more than any other program on the planet. Now, if you haven't seen any of Game of Thrones so far, you might be wondering if it's worth plowing through 40 hours of fantasy hokum to get you up to speed. Now, it certainly looks at first glance like a load of old nonsense comprising of bare breasts, fighting dragons, and not much else. Granted, all those are there in abundance, but the cleverness of Game of Thrones is that the more you watch it, the more you realize you're actually enjoying the intricate power plays, the pitch-perfect comic moments, and the apparently inconsequential characters who grow through intense hardship towards power and glory. Now, there's one rule about Game of Thrones: don't get attached to anyone. The essential points to remember here can be summed up in 2 lines. The first courtesy of Daenerys, when she says, "When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die." The second is said by a torturer prior to an act of horrific violence, but could just as well be overheard as a script meeting. If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. Now, as the many dynasties and power brokers of Westeros plot for control of the Iron Throne, the main seat of power, everyone's lives hang in a balance. Game of Thrones delights in creating complex and engaging characters, giving them rich histories and rounded personalities, casting much lauded British actors in the roles, and then killing them instantly. The more famous the actor, the more likely it is that their character is meant to be disemboweled in front of their children. Now, the Battle of the Bastards battle was a great showing of this. Death seamlessly everywhere in sight. It was brash, cold, and ugly, the way old school battles were and are. This battle, in my opinion, is a super metaphor for what the show is. Each character in some way or another goes through a metamorphosis and their own ugly struggles, all in the name of victory. Now, let's switch to a more recent battle. In Season 7, Episode 4, Daenerys demonstrates why so many seek Game of Thrones as soon as they possibly can. Now, to give you some context, this is just the 4th episode of Season 7, and the fans are given an epic battle with the dragon, where in comparison to other shows, these kind of highlights are reserved for premieres and finales.
Someone's trying to block the way. Gotta be the saviors. Look. I think it's the base over there. Yeah, that's it. Must be trying to make it hard to get to them.
We gotta keep going. We're moving, and we're moving back. They don't need to know what we do.
However, it's not to say that you need to have epic battles on screen 24/7. No show could cope with that budget needed for that, but rather to always keep the audience guessing and never sure of what happens next. For it is the very scale of the success of Game of Thrones that has transformed the TV landscape. This is not simply an epic fantasy show, it is a fantasy show that exists on an epic scale. Everything about it feels bigger than most of the other programs, from the sets and the sheer number of stories and characters to the size of those viewing figures. And because of that scale and the show's success, it's hard to escape the feeling that we are, in fact, watching the blockbuster isolation of TV. Personally, I think with all these sentiments, Game of Thrones harken back to Lord of the Rings style, multiple characters all converging on one goal. If you play the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die.